Hello, my name is Veronica Cavazos, and this is TED Talk, University of the Southwest, Cognition Neuroscience for Working Memory. Today, I would like to talk to you about improving your memory abilities, and I'd like to start with a few questions. Do you ever forget what you were going to do when you walk into a room or you open your refrigerator and your mind goes blank? Also, do you forget where you parked or where you left your keys? Also, one more example I'd like to say is do you ever forget your shopping list? You go to the grocery store, you come home, and you forgot bacon when you were going to go to the store to make bacon and eggs. Well, I'm going to tell you this: you are not alone. And this has been something that we all need to work on. And I'm just going to talk to you about some examples and some things that people have done in the past and that are doing current now. And one of the things is that working memory has been around for decades. Um, During the Bible days, God used Aaron in the Bible. He was a very intelligent man, and he had supernatural abilities where he could remember things. He God had chose him because he had a strong ability to remember what he wanted him to relate to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a very hard king, especially with his people. So what Pharaoh would dishonor God, and Aaron could remember word for word what he had to relate to the king, so that he would do what God said to do. And so this was a great example of someone that can use their ability, because he also knew how to remember each person in the population of the city and cities nearby in alphabetical order, uh, by name and last name. And that would be something very difficult to do because, first of all, we have to recall that during this time they didn't have any pens and pencils, they didn't have any computers such as technology, so that they could document all these things and they could actually keep this. They basically used their working memory abilities, and that is why God chose Aaron. Moving forward to the year 1974, Mr. Alan Badley and Graham Hitch, they were two researchers that developed a way where they created a certain model that was pretty much something that they believed that Greek mythologists used. It was called the model of Loki, or the method of Loki, or the memory palace. The memory palace was to describe this memory palace. What you had to do, or what they did during this time, is that they would walk into a familiar place and they would visualize around the room, and they would relate objects that they would visually see, and they would apply it into their spatial memory. So they would remember this a whole lot better than they could if they would just in a way to memorize it and to keep it, in their spatial memory, than to do it by themselves. So that's what they would use, their surrounding specific information. Working memory is an ability that you can hold information for a long period of time versus 7 to 9 plus or minus, items at a time. Most mental tasks, we're going to move on to most mental tasks, that require working memory to be effective. We need working memory for reading, for math, and for any type of mental memorization that we're going to need. There's a goal driven behaviors that we need to also that we need in order for us to remember what we are trying to save in our working memory. Uh, I would say that a goal driven type of job that you would need for this type of work would be a firefighter. Uh, Firefighters require a lot of memorization, and they have to have a lot of spatial memory as well, because they go in to save people and then they have to backtrack and make sure that they bring them back to safety, and so that they can um, save them from wherever they're at. They're gonna have to make sure they get back and bring them back to safety. We would want them to not memorize where they went and where they have to get back, because you'd want to be exiting. As you enter, you want to exit the safe way. And next, I would like to discuss some tasks that require more than working memory than others. I would have to say a surgeon, a doctor, and for this reason that I chose a surgeon would be, not only do they need to know terminology, they also have to know the human anatomy. There's several things that you have to memorize in the body. It's not just the bones, the organs, but also, when you do incisions, you have to make sure you do your incisions, and then you have to make sure, that you have a time management as well. You have to do certain things in a time frame. You have to know how long your organs are being preserved. And so I would feel like that is something that would require, more of a working memory than others. Individual differences in working memory capacity require different skills in working memory as well. Basically, the more skilled you are in working memory, it becomes enhanced, and so you will have a better chance at remembering things. Okay, one example I'd like to discuss with you is a grocery list. Everyone has had this experience, as I discussed before, is when you have your shopping list and you're going to the store, and as you come home, you forget an item. So then you have to go back to the store. I've made my own model here on what I would do to remember this list. I basically made a grocery list right here, and it's here are the items that I have listed. It's got the bananas, potatoes, carrots, steaks, pork back ribs, cupcakes, Disney birthday banner, and candles, Kool-Aid, pineapple, and Mickey and Minnie pinata. If you're wondering, what can I possibly do to remember my list? Well, I also created my own model of Loki here, and we're going to show a familiar place, which is my living room. And what I used was a monkey with the banana for the bananas. And he is dancing with Mr. Potato Head. And so there's the bananas and the potato. And here is the carrots. And he's tickling the bunny. So then a bunny eats carrots. So the carrots would represent my other item on my list. And here is the cow, which is that represents a steak. And the steak is chasing a pig for the pork back ribs, and he's carrying a backpack. I'm not sure if you could see the backpack. And on the next page is the Kool-Aid man for the punch. And so there's the Kool-Aid and the pineapple, and for the cupcakes. And then here's the piñata, and the piñata is the Mickey and Disney, which represent the Mickey and Disney birthday party theme. And here's the number 3 candle, so that the candle will, You know that it's for a 3-year-old party, basically. And that is my example of the model of Loki. And I would like to discuss now the importance of the types of techniques that can help you memorize the digit task, span task, also known as chucking. You use this technique by remembering digits and or words or two or more sets of words. And here's my example also for the that I made up for the an example I made up for the digit span task. Um, you would list your words: frog, square, horn, lion, circle, tiger, green, and bear, and rectangle. Okay, in chucking or printing up the words, you would combine 2 to 3 words or more, depending on how many words you have. For this particular list, I would say green horned frog, that would help you memorize, and lion, tiger, and bear, square, circle, and triangle. Keeping the list with things that you could relate to. Lion, tiger, and bears. We all know the lion, tiger, and bears from The Wizard of Oz. And green horned frog, it could relate to a frog, a horny toad. And my husband he does not remember things very well. And I tried this particular test on him. He didn't know, but I was actually quizzing him. And he did not remember, but maybe, I'm going to say about 4 words or 5. And with this test, he remembered every single word. Even after I asked him later, he still remembered that. So I was really proud of him. And also, there's an important thing I'd like to mention. Short-term memory characteristics. We have to make sure that we work on 3 important things, because these are the things that make us fail. And usually you cannot remember anything more than 20 minutes or seconds, excuse me, after we have said it. It's hard for you to remember. And these are things that interrupt short-term characteristics. So anything less than 20 seconds, we are going to forget it. And in chunks, 7 to 2, give and take. If we don't use chunks, then we will forget. Our memory will not remember things if we cannot relate it to a certain object or a certain technique. And other things that weaken our memory are also medications, sleep deprivation, head injury, and trauma, of course, and also technology. Technology is right now is one of our weakest memory that is affecting us, because we are not using our working memory. We are relying on technology. We rely on computers. We rely on our phones, and we save everything in our data that we forget what we're thinking and what we're doing. We just don't try to retain that. So it's very important to try to not use to use your working memory instead of using your technology. There's also championships all over the world. These memory championships got started several years back, and we have them now in the United States, and they've been around for a while. The memorization competitions consist of deck of cards. These people can memorize 1 deck, 2 decks, 3 decks, depending on what type of contest they're entering. They can remember words. They can remember numbers from 4 to 10 numbers to several numbers. There's also a wealth of information. There's books that you can read. Several of these championship competitors that have entered these contests that you can learn from. And one question that we would like to all know and and ask is, so can we train our working memory to improve our memorization skills? I would have to say yes. If we learn to use the tools that work best for each and every one of us individually, according to how we learn and how it will help us retain our memory, our working memory, we can reconstruct our minds and our brains to allow us to live a better and productive life. Thank you so much.